Welcome back to the channel and to another Chelsea Academy match report as the under-21s ran out 2-0 winners last night away to Manchester United. A fantastic performance, goals from Shim Mhueka and Leo Cardoso making all the difference. We are going to get into the key moments, stand-up performances, and we're going to double down this week on a couple of players that I think should be looking to push into the first team, should be included in first team squads in the coming weeks. A big month ahead for the Chelsea first team, and there are definitely some players in this under-21 side that we could use. So make sure before we get into it to like and subscribe to the channel for all of the latest and greatest Chelsea content from the first team academy, loan players. If it's got anything to do with Chelsea, we cover it on this channel. So make sure to tap in. But we will start with a brief outlook on the game. It was a stop-start first half. I think there were 14 minutes of added time in the first half, 8 in the second, 22 overall. Chido Obi had a head injury after 10 seconds. Manchester United captain had to go off after about 40 minutes. It was one of those games that was, I think, on reflection, you feel a little bit sorry for Manchester United. I think they did have the wind taken out of their sails, particularly to have their main striker, their main guy go off after 10 seconds with a head injury. You know, it was always going to affect the game, and I do feel a little bit sorry for them. But that being said, I think Chelsea controlled the game fantastically. Couple of early scares, couple of half chances for Manchester United, but Chelsea grew into the game. I think we looked dominant, we looked confident in possession. We created some fairly good openings. I don't think there were too many clear-cut chances. I was going to say in the first half throughout the game, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think either keeper made a single save in 90 minutes, which is absolutely nuts, particularly when you think that Chelsea scored 2 goals. But not really too much goal-mouth action to speak of. And that being said, I think Chelsea managed to control the game. Manchester United, I believe, 1 point below Chelsea. So, you know, similarly at the top of the PL2, similarly in good form. And Chelsea, I think, did very, very well to just control the game, just dominate the ball, looked very comfortable in possession, didn't really let them create too much. I think particularly in the middle, Reggie Walsh, when it came to dictating play, I thought he was excellent yesterday. He got 1 assist for the Leo Cardoso goal. But we're going to start on the Shim Mhueka goal, because Shim Mhueka is a player that, if you've been following us, if you've been following this channel, you would have heard his name a lot. I'd be very surprised if there are many Chelsea fans out there right now that don't know who Shim Mhueka is off this season alone. He is now up to 21 goals for club alone this season, 14 goals in 13 Premier League 2 games. 18 years old, captains the PL2 side, plays for the under-19s UEFA Youth League as well. I think this is a player that is primed and ready for a loan move next year. There was a lot of talk about a potential loan move for him in January, didn't materialise for whatever reason, whether Chelsea wanted him to continue his development here, whether he wanted to stay here, whether that, you know, ideal loan move didn't materialise, I'm not sure. But seeing the success that players like Jimmy J Morgan are having out on loan in League One with Peterborough, seeing the success that Leo Castledine had with Huddersfield in League One recently, I feel like Shim Mhueka is poised and ready to go into a championship level loan move. I think League One would be great, and I think he would absolutely tear it up. I think he might take a little bit of time to get accustomed. We've seen that he has been, you know, brought into the Chelsea fold under Enzo Maresca last year, even played a couple of minutes, or even got some minutes, under Rosenior alongside Jesse Derry at Hull. But I think Shim Mhueka is a player that is now ready to go and tear it up on loan. I think in terms of the range of goals, the profile of striker he is so well-rounded. He can score all manner of goals, you know, headers, long-range, solo efforts. He's got great left foot, great right foot. He's a bit of a fox in the box. I think in terms of a striker, and when you look back at Chelsea's track record with strikers, the last successful number 9, the last reliable number 9 that we had was Diego Costa. And to think that that is now a decade ago, 10 years since Chelsea have had a proper number 9. It is an extremely high pressure position, particularly with Chelsea. There seems to be a little bit of a curse hanging around the number 9 shirt. Even again this year, Liam Delap, you know, taking that responsibility on, seems to have fallen behind João Pedro in the pecking order. And if you're looking for a player, I mean, you look at Chelsea's style of play, very often the striker, particularly when we're playing against some better teams, very often the striker is isolated. Is going to be asked to do a lot of work. And Shim Mhueka is a player that has no problem with that task. He is one of the most willing runners. We hear the words willing runner a lot of the times. He is the most willing runner I have ever seen. His work rate is sensational. Every time he plays, he leads from the front. He leads by example. I think his commitment, fantastic. On and off the ball, I think he's showed us that in games where he has to feed off scraps, in games that Chelsea aren't, particularly getting the ball into him that much, I think he is excellent hold-up play. His ability to bring other players into play is fantastic. And we've seen him multiple times this season, have barely any touches, 50, 60 minutes, and still comes away with 2-3 goals. He is extremely effective, extremely clinical. And like I said, left foot, right foot, header, he can score all manner of goals. Excellent striker, and to have 21 goals for club this season already, I'm not sure what it is for club and country, but he's definitely bagged for England as well, so he's potentially up to 30 goals this season, club and country. But to be on 14 in 13 Premier League 2 games, fantastic record. Chelsea have also got Shim Mhueka playing for the under-18s and also sometimes for the under-21s, who is in a similarly good vein of form, similarly solid numbers. But Shim Mhueka, I think in terms of his physical profile, his technical ability, and also where he stands in terms of the pecking order of Cobham Academy graduates and priorities that Chelsea, need to get out. I think he is 100% top 3, top 5 players that we need to start thinking about an actual development plan for, because he is very, very close to hitting the threshold. And when I mentioned earlier in the video players that I think should be involved in the Chelsea squad, look, the loan move has obviously passed him by this season. Get him involved in the squad. Look, I quite like Mark Gue. I like his work rate. I like his hustle. And he seems to grab a couple of goals, a couple important goals when he's played in the past. But Shim Mhueka, as an academy graduate, should A, have priority, and B, we should be fueling that match day experience. If we are looking for him to go and play a serious part in a team on loan next year, he needs to start, getting accustomed to the first team squads, etc. I would like to see Shim Mhueka a lot more involved in the latter half or in the next 10 or so games in the Premier League. Another player that I think could be involved, not so much of a gaping hole really in the squad at the moment, but Genesis Antwi. Genesis Antwi provided the assist last night for Shim Mhueka, his 6th Premier League 2 assist of the season. He is an absolutely fantastic player, another that Chelsea fans may be familiar with, as he did make his debut in the Conference League last season, but we haven't really seen very much or heard very much of him ever since. Obviously, Chelsea do have Malo Gusto, and Reece James back kind of eliminates any possibility of getting a starting role as a right back. You've got Josh Achimpong, you've got Jarell Hatto, who can play, or who's predominantly on the other side. But the Chelsea fullbacks, we're fairly well equipped, particularly on the right side. So it is one of those that I do feel a little bit sorry for him, because I feel like that pathway is kind of a little bit blocked by Malo Gusto. But with Cucurella out, the potential to have Gusto switch to the other side and Genesis Antwi come in as that backup, look, I think he's a fantastic player. I think his deliveries, similar to Shim Mhueka, he's a player that does not stop. His work rate on and off the ball is sublime. Defensively, he's very, very adept. But also, going forward, he creates so much. He is such a danger on that right side. And I think having him on one side, Landon Emanalo on the other, which is another player that I think could well be included in a few more squads towards the end of this season. I think Genesis Antwi is a player that I am now looking similarly to Shim Mhueka as saying he's too good for the academy. He's too good to be playing under-21s. He's already got international call-ups for the Sweden under-21s this season. I think Genesis Antwi should be a priority to move on a loan next year if we are not going to bring him into the squad. Another player that I genuinely think is good enough to play a bit part role in the squad. But again, with players like Josh Achimpong ahead of him in the pecking order and not really getting too many minutes under Liam Rosenior this season, it's going to be interesting. And I do have a bad feeling that we will see Genesis Antwi, similar to Lewis Hall, Tino Livramento, players that have preceded him. I do have kind of a bad gut feeling that Genesis Antwi might be one that we lose out on purely because he is ready, and it's got to a point where I don't know if he wants to wait, if he wants to sit there and play the will they, won't they, will I get this opportunity? Because, like I say, he's a player that would get into most championship sides, would probably get a place on the bench for most Premier League sides at the point. He is a very, very good individual and one that I think we need to keep an eye on. And Landon Emanalo, I think particularly, I've just mentioned the fullback coverage there. With Cucurella out, I know it's only 3-4 weeks, but Landon Emanalo, this is the perfect opportunity for him. A player that has already proved that he can play 2-3 years above his age level. He has already proved extremely mature, extremely good on the ball, extremely disciplined, and he's been included in a matchday squad before. I do think that Landon Emanalo is one of the players that should get some call-ups, even if it's just to the matchday squad. He's a player that needs to be more involved in the latter half of the season. Give Cucurella a little bit of a break. Obviously, we don't want to throw him in, full throttle when he returns from injury. So I'd be more comfortable with Landon Emanalo on the left side than I would with Malo Gusto. And I know Jorel Hato, I think he was fairly solid against Arsenal. Still doesn't seem like Rossignol has full faith in him to play fullback. So if we are looking for an out-and-out left-back, someone that can do both a solid job defensively, but also link up very, very well going forward, that's Landon Emanalo. And one player he links up particularly well with, is Jesse Derry. And I want to see more of that. Landon Emanalo on the left side, Jesse Derry on the left side. Jesse Derry continues to impress. I think he is a player filled with confidence at the moment. You can see it when he gets the ball, when he's asking for the ball. You can hear him asking for the ball, screaming for the ball. Every time he's got an inch of space, he always wants to go at his man. More often than not, 9 times out of 10, he beats him. He's very, very good in terms of his ability to go on the left, on the right. He's unpredictable. His deliveries are normally very, very consistent. Created some great chances yesterday that, unfortunately, I think one of the first half that Leo Cardoso was unable to put away, and then had a good chance from a set piece as well. He is a player that I think we should be feeding the momentum. This is someone that has very clearly found his level, or very clearly, aware of his level. He's very confident in his own ability. I think he is a player that we should be backing. And seeing the bench against Arsenal, and seeing that we have 3 attacking replacements in Delap, Garnacho and Gue, I do not understand why Mhueka and Derry aren't shoo-ins for these roles. I think in a game where we could use all of the unpredictability, all of the attacking flair that we can get, all of the pace, all of the trickery that we can get, players like Jesse Derry just give us a bit of a different dimension. Not only are they extremely talented players, but opposition aren't prepared for it. As an opposition, you can watch comps, you can watch hours of Garnacho and Gittins and figure out their strengths, and it's fairly quick and easy to figure out how to stop these guys. It's send them down the byline. That doesn't work with Jesse Derry. And I feel like that element of unpredictability, that element of, hang on a minute, there's this kid fresh on the block. It's kind of like Esteval. There's these players going up against these 18-year-olds and going, hang on a minute, am I going to get absolutely cooked here? And it puts a bit of fear of God into them. And I like that. And I do think, again, Jesse Derry, it wasn't his best performance last night, but still very, very solid. He's reached the level where he is consistently putting in 7, 8 out of 10s, and we're not even batting an eyelid. So I think he is a player that I want to see increasingly involved for the rest of the season. I think the Champions League games, I want to see him on the bench. I think, obviously, Wrexham next week, I want to see him starting. I really want to see him involved against Villa tomorrow. I think these are players that, like I said, primed and ready, and kind of similar to the first team in that we've been not stagnating, but we've been in a case of limbo. We've been in limbo for about 3 or 4 years now, and a lot of these Chelsea players might be getting a little bit itchy. I see the academy the same way. It's all well and good them going out and turning over someone new every week, top of the league, scoring, assisting. But these players, I think, Derry, Mhueka, they know how good they are, and they know how difficult it is to get into Chelsea Football Club. So it's all well and good giving them these gratuitous cameos and these, I don't want to call it performative minutes against Hull, but it's all well and good giving them these small opportunities. But do what Arsenal did with Dauman and Ranieri, and I know that hasn't exactly turned out great for either of them, but do what they do. Include them in the matchday squads consistently. Give them opportunities. Throw them in on the deep end, because I'll tell you what, they are more than good enough, more than capable of handling themselves. But let me know what you think. If you think there are any players in the under-21 squad that you would like to see in the Chelsea side that you think do deserve that call-up, or potentially do deserve that loan move next year, let me know in the comments. If you watched last night, who was your man of the match? Like I said, I think I'd be hard-pressed not to pick Reggie Walsh because of how he dictated and how well he kind of kept control in the middle. But I think, you know what? I'm going to go Genesis Antwi. 6th assist, another clean sheet. I think he is a player that impresses me week in, week out. Similar to Derry, it's got to the point where he's putting in 8, 9 out of 10 performances, and we don't even bat an eyelid. So I think Genesis Hantwi gets my man of the match last night. If you did watch, let me know who you were particularly impressed with. If not, then you know where to get all of your academy content, not just the first team covered on this channel, the Chelsea under-18s, under-21s, loan players. We do it all on this channel. And speaking of the academy, under-21s back in action next Monday against Birmingham, but the under-18s in action today in, well, less than an hour, 1:30 kickoff for the Chelsea under-18s today. We are going to be following that on this channel, and you're going to get another reaction out of us leading into episode 2 of the Blueprint. I've been promising it for way too long. All the prep is done. The filming is virtually done. Just one little segment needs to be tightened at the end. But the Blueprint episode 2, focusing on Ryan Kavuma-McQueen, will be out this week. Chelsea obviously in action, the first team against Aston Villa last night. So you're going to get an under-18 live match reaction from me today, and a first team live match reaction from me tomorrow, and then you're going to get the Blueprint before we go into the weekend's games. A big week of content, lots of Chelsea activity this month, so make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Follow at twobluespodcast on the Instagram for all of the latest updates as well. Until next time, up the Chels.